All right, it's been a minute since I've been on here. This is chapter 39, the cryptogram as a factor in symbolic philosophy. Oh, fuck's that? That's a famous cryptic title page. 1 year after the publication of the first great Shakespearean folio, a remarkable volume of cryptograms and ciphers was published. The title page of the work is reproduced above. The year of its publication, 1624, was during the Rosicrucian controversy. The translation of the title page is as follows: The Cryptomnesis and Cryptography of Gustav Salenius in 9 books, to which is added a clear explanation of the system of stenography of John Tithemius, abbot of Spanheim and Herbopolius, a man of admirable genius, interspersed with worthy inventions of the author and others. 1624. The author of this volume was believed to be Augustus, Duke of Brunswick. The symbols and emblems ornating the title page, however, are conclusive evidence that the fine hand of the Rosicrucians was behind its publication. At the bottom of the picture is a nobleman, Bacon, placing his hat on another man's head. In the oval at the top of the plate, it is possible that the lights are beacons, or a play upon the name Bacon. In the 2 side panels are striking and subtle Shakespearean allusions. On the left is a nobleman, possibly Bacon, handing a paper to another man of mean appearance who carries in his hand a spear. At the right, the man who previously carried the spear is shown in the costume of an actor wearing spurs and blowing a horn. An allusion to the actor blowing his horn and the figure carrying the spear suggests much, especially as spear is the last syllable of the name Shakespeare. No treatise which deals with symbolism would be complete without a section devoted to the consideration of cryptograms. The use of ciphers has long been recognized as indispensable in military and diplomatic circles, but the modern world has overlooked the important role played by cryptography in literature and philosophy. And the art of deciphering cryptograms could be made popular, it would result in the discovery of a much hitherto unsuspected wisdom possessed by both ancient and medieval philosophers. It would prove that the many apparently verbose and rambling authors were wordy for the sake of concealing words. Ciphers are hidden in the most subtle manner. They may be concealed in the watermark of the paper upon which a book is printed. They may be bound into the motherfucker. Fuck you. May be bound into the covers of ancient books. They may be hidden under imperfect pagination. Pagination? They may be extracted from the first letters of words or the first words of sentences. They may be artfully concealed in mathematical equations or in apparently unintelligible characters. They may be extracted from the jargon of clowns or revealed by heat as having been written by sympathetic ink. They may be word ciphers, letter ciphers, or apparently ambiguous statements whose meaning could be understood only by repeated careful readings. They may be discovered in the elaborately illuminated initial letters of early books, or they may be revealed by a process of counting words or letters. If those interested in Freemasonic research would give serious consideration to the subject, they might find in books and manuscripts of the 16th and 17th centuries the information necessary to bridge the gap in Masonic history that now exists between the mysteries of the ancient world and the craft masonry of the last 3 centuries. Very good. Oh, shit. All right. Hold on. This. Oh, fuck. It's not the right one. Hold on. This is how this works. Remind me to go back. Whatever. An example of biliteral writing. In the above sentence, note carefully the formation of the letters. Compare each letter with the 2 types of letters in the biliteral alphabet table reproduced from Lord Bacon's De Augmentis Scientiarum. A comparison of the D in wisdom with the D in and discloses a large loop at the top of the first, while the second shows practically no loop at all. Contrast the I in wisdom and the I in understanding. In the former, the lines are curved and the latter angular. A similar analysis of the 2 E's in desired reveals obvious differences. The O in more differs only from the O in wisdom, in that a tiny line continues from the top over towards the R. The A in than is thinner and more angular than the A in R, while the R in riches differs from that in desired, in that the final upright stroke terminates in a ball instead of a sharp point. These are minor differences disclose the presence of the two alphabets employed in writing the sentence. But you guys already knew that. The arcana of the ancient mysteries were never revealed to the profane except through the media of symbols. Symbolism fulfilled the dual office of concealing the sacred truths from the uninitiated and revealing them to those qualified to understand the symbols. Forms are the symbols of formless divine principles. Symbolism is the language of nature. With reverence, the wise pierce the veil and with clear vision contemplate the reality, but the ignorant, unable to distinguish between the false and the true, behold a universe of symbols. It may well be said of nature, the great mother, that she is ever tracing strange characters upon the surface of things, but only to her eldest and wisest sons as a reward for their faith and devotion does she reveal the cryptic alphabet, which is the key to the import of these tracings. The temples of the ancient mysteries evolved in their own sacred languages, known only to their initiates and never spoken save in the sanctuary. The illumined priests considered the sacrilege to discuss the sacred truths of the higher worlds or the divine varieties of eternal nature in the same tongue as that used by the vulgar for wrangling and dissension. A sacred science must needs be couched in a sacred language. Sacred alphabets also were invented, and wherever the secrets of the wise were committed to writings, characters meaningless to the uninformed were employed. Such forms of writing were called sacred or hermetic alphabets. Some, such as the famous angelic writing, are still retained in the higher degrees of Masonry. Secret alphabets were not entirely satisfactory, however, for although they rendered unintelligible the true nature of the writings, their very presence disclosed the fact of concealed information, which the priests also sought to conceal. Through patience and persecution, the keys of these alphabets were eventually acquired and the contents of the documents revealed to the unworthy. This necessitated employment of a more subtle methods for concealing the divine truths. The result was the appearance of cryptic systems of writing designed to conceal the presence of both the message and the cryptogram. Having thus devised a method of transmitting their secrets to posterity, the Illuminati encouraged the circulation of certain documents, specially prepared through incorporating into them ciphers containing the deeper secrets of mysticism and philosophy. Thus, medieval philosophers disseminated their theories throughout Europe without evoking suspicion, since volumes containing these cryptograms could be subjected to the closest scrutiny without revealing the presence of hidden message. Now, back up. What was I? Right, one, yes, the bilateral alphabet. This plate is reproduced from Bacon's De Augmentis Scientiarum, and it shows the two alphabets as designed by him for the purpose of his cipher. Each capital and small letter has two distinct forms which are designated A and B. The bilateral system does not in every instance make use of two alphabets in which the differences were as perceptible as in the example here given, but two alphabets were always used. Sometimes the variations are so minute that it requires a powerful magnifying glass to distinguish the difference between the A and the B types of letters. During the Middle Ages, scores of writers, members of a secret political or religious organizations, published books containing ciphers. Secret writing became a fad. Every European court had its own diplomatic cipher, and the intelligentsia vied with another in devising curious and complicated cryptograms. The literature of the 15th, 16th, and 17th centuries is permeated with ciphers, few of which have ever been decoded. Many of the magnificent scientific and philosophic intellects of this period dared not publish their findings because of the religious intolerance of their day. In order to preserve the fruitage of their intellectual labors for mankind, these pioneers of progress concealed their discoveries in ciphers, trusting that future generations, more kindly than their own, would discover and appreciate their learning. Many churchmen, it's interesting to note, use cryptograms fearing excommunication or a worse fate should their scientific researches be suspected. Only recently, an intricate cipher of Roger Bacon's only recently, an intricate cipher of Roger Bacon's has been unraveled, revealing the fact that this early scientist was well versed in the cellular theory. Lecturing before an American Philosophical Society, Dr. William Romaine Newbold, who translated the cipher manuscript of the friar, declared, "There are drawings which so accurately portray the actual appearance of certain objects that it is difficult to resist the inference that Bacon had seen them with the microscope. These are spermatozoa, the body cells of the seminal Verschubius tubes, the ova with their nuclei distinctly indicated. There are 9 large drawings, of which one at least bears considerable resemblance to a certain stage of development of fertilized egg. Fertilized cell. Had Roger Bacon failed to conceal this discovery under a complicated cipher, he would have been persecuted as a heretic and would probably have met the fate of other early liberal thinkers. In spite of the rapid progress made by science in the last 250 years, it still remains ignorant concerning many of the original discoveries made by medieval investigators. The only record of these important findings is that contained in the cryptograms of the volumes which they published." Hold on. Where is it? There. The key, the bilateral cipher. After the document to be deciphered has been reduced to its A and B equivalents, it has then broken up into 5-letter groups in the message read with the aid of the above table. While many authors have written on the subject of cryptography, the books most valuable to students of philosophy and religion are Polygraphia and Steganographia by Trithemius, abbot of Spanheim, Mercury, or the Secret and Swift Messenger by John Wilkins, Bishop of Chester, Edifice Egypticus, and other works by Antoninus Kircher, Society of Jesus, and Cryptomagneticus et Cryptographia by Gustus Solenius. To illustrate the basic differences in their construction and use, the various forms of ciphers are here grouped under 7 general headings. 1. The literal cipher. The most famous of all literal cryptograms is the famous biliteral cipher described by Sir Francis Bacon in his De Augmentis Scientiarum. Lord Bacon originated the system while still a young man residing in Paris. The biliteral cipher requires the use of 2 styles of type, one an ordinary face and the other specially cut. The differences between the 2 fonts are in many cases so minute that it requires a powerful magnifying glass to detect them. Originally, the cipher messages were concealed only in the italicized words, sentences, or paragraphs because the italic letters, being more ornate than the Roman letters, offered greater opportunity for concealing the slight but necessary variations. Sometimes the letters vary a trifle in size, at other times in thickness or in their ornamental flourishes. Later, Lord Bacon is believed to have had 2 Roman alphabets specially prepared in which the differences were so trivial that it's almost impossible for experts to distinguish them. A careful inspection of the first 4 Shakespeare folios discloses the use throughout the volumes of several styles of type differing in minute distinguishable details. It is possible that all the Shakespeare folios contain ciphers running through the text. These ciphers may have been added to the original plays, which are much longer in the folios than in the original quartos, full scenes having been added in some instances. A modern wheel or disc cipher. The above diagram shows a wheel cipher. The smaller or inner alphabet moves around so that any one of its letters may be brought opposite any one of the letters on the larger or outer alphabet. In some cases, the inner alphabet is written backwards, but in the present example, both alphabets read the same way. The fuck was I? Some instances. The bilateral cipher was not confined to the writings of Bacon and Shakespeare, however, but appears in many books published during Lord Bacon's lifetime and for nearly a century after his death. In referring to the bilateral cipher, Lord Bacon terms it homine per homine. The cipher may run through an entire book and be placed therein at the time of printing without the knowledge of the original author, for it does not necessitate the changing of either words or punctuation. It's possible that this cipher was inserted for political purposes into many documents and volumes published during the 17th century. It is well known that ciphers were used for the same reason as early as the Council of Nicaea. The Bacon bilateral cipher is difficult to use today, owing to the present exact standardization of type and the fact that so few books are now hand-set. Accompanying this chapter are facsimiles of Lord Bacon's bilateral alphabet as it appeared in the 1640 English translation of De Augmentis Scientiarum. There are four alphabets, two for the capital and two for the smaller letters. Consider carefully the differences between these four and note that each alphabet has the power of either the letter A or the letter B, and that when reading a word, its letters are divisible into one of the two groups, those which correspond to the letter A and those which correspond to the letter B. In order to employ the bilateral cipher, a document must contain 5 times as many letters as there are in the cipher message to be concealed, for it requires 5 letters to conceal 1. The bilateral cipher somewhat resembles a telegraph code in which letters are changed into dots, dashes, according to the bilateral system. However, the dots and dashes are represented respectively by A's and B's. The word bilateral is derived from the fact that all the letters of the alphabet may be reduced to either A or B. An example of bilateral writing is shown in one of the accompanying diagrams. In order to demonstrate the working of this cipher, the message concealed within the words wisdom and understanding are more to be desired than riches will now be deciphered. I'll read that one more time. Wisdom and understanding are more to be desired than riches. It's quaint. The first step is to discover the letters of each alphabet and replace them by their equivalent, A or B, in accordance with the key given by Lord Bacon in his bilateral alphabet. In the word wisdom, the W is from the B alphabet, therefore it is replaced by a B. The I is from the A alphabet, therefore an A is put in its place. The S is also from the A alphabet, but the D belongs to the B alphabet. The O and the M both belong to the A alphabet, hence each is replaced by A. By this process, the word wisdom therefore becomes Baba. Treating the remaining words of the sentence in a similar manner, and becomes Abba, understanding, Abba ha baba, are Abba, more Ab, to Ab, be Ab, desired Ababa, than Abba, riches, aha. The next step is to run all the letters together. Thus, ba 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 ba, ba ha ha, ba 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 ba. All the combinations used in the Baconian bilateral cipher consist of groups containing 5 letters each. Therefore, the solid lines of letters must be broken into groups of 5 in the following manner: Baba Abba, Abba Ab, Ababa, Ababa, Baba, nope, Babab, Abba, Abba, Ah. Each of these groups, the 5 letters, now represents one letter of the cipher, and the actual letter can now be determined by comparing the groups with the alphabetical table. The key to the bilateral cipher from De Augmentis Scienternium: Baba equals T. Abba equals E. Abba E. Ab B. Ababa L. Abba B. P. Sorry. Abab X. Abba E. Abba E. A. A. Okay. But the last 5 letters of the word riches being set off by a period from the initial R and the last 5 A's do not count in the cipher. The letters thus extracted are now brought together in order, resulting in TEEBLPXEE. At this point, the inquirer might reasonably expect the letters to make intelligible words, but he will very likely be disappointed. For, as in the case above, the letters thus extracted are themselves a cryptogram, doubly involved to discourage those who might have a casual acquaintance with the bilateral system. The next step is to apply the 9 letters to what is commonly called a wheel or disk cipher, which consists of 2 alphabets, one revolving around the other in such a manner that numerous transpositions of letters are possible. In the accompanying cut, the A of the inner alphabet is opposite the H of the outer alphabet, so that for cipher purposes, these letters are interchangeable. The F and the M, the R and the Y, the W and the D. In fact, all the letters may be transposed as shown by the 2 circles. The 9 letters extracted by the bilateral cipher may thus be exchanged for 9 others by the wheel cipher. The 9 letters are considered as being on the inner circle of the wheel and are exchanged for the 9 letters on the outer circle, which are opposite the inner letters. By this process, the T becomes an A, the 2 E's become L's, the B becomes an I, and the L becomes an S. The P becomes W, the X becomes an E, and the 2 E's become 2 L's. The result is all is well, which, broken up into words, reads all is well. Of course, by moving the inner disk of the wheel cipher, many different combinations, in addition to the one given above, can be made of the letters, but this is the only one which will produce sense, and the cryptogrammist must keep on experimenting until he discovers a logical and intelligible message. He may then feel reasonably sure that he has deciphered the system. Lord Bacon involved the bilateral cipher in many different ways. There are probably a score of different systems used in the Shakespeare folio alone, some so intricate that they may forever baffle all attempts at their decipherment. In those susceptible of solution, sometimes the A's and B's have to be exchanged. At other times, the concealed message is written backwards. Again, only every other letter is counted, and so on. Hold up. We got here. There are several other forms of the literal cipher in which letters are substituted for each other by a prearranged sequence. The simplest form is that in which 2 alphabets are written thus. By substituting the letters of the lower alphabet for their equivalents in the upper one, a meaningless conglomeration results, the hidden message being decoded by reversing the process. There is also a form of the literal cipher in which the actual cryptogram is written in the body of the document, but unimportant words are inserted between important ones according to the prearranged order. The literal cipher also includes what are called acrostic signatures. That is, words written down the column by the use of the first letter of each line, and also more complicated acrostics in which the important letters are scattered through entire paragraphs or chapters. The 2 accompanying alchemical cryptograms illustrate another form of literal cipher involving the first letter of each word. Every cryptogram based upon the arrangement or combination of the letters of the alphabet is called a literal cipher. Hold on. Okay. 2. The pictorial cipher. Any picture or drawing with other than its obvious meaning may be considered a pictorial cryptogram. Instances of pictorial ciphers are frequently found in Egyptian symbolism and early religious art. The diagrams of alchemists and hermetic philosophers are invariably pictorial ciphers. Hold on. What's this? An alchemical cryptogram. James Campbell Brown reprints a curious cipher from Kircher. The capital letters of the 7 words in the outer circle, when read clockwise, form the word solver. SVLPHVR. From the 5 words in the second circle, when read in a similar manner, is derived fixum. FIXVM. The capitals of the 6 words in the inner circle, when properly arranged, also read est sol. The following cipher is thus extracted: sulfur fixum estul, which when translated is fixed sulfur is gold. In addition to the simple pictorial cipher, there is a more technical form in which words or letters are concealed by the number of stones in a wall, by the spread of birds' wings in flight, by ripples on the surface of water, or by the length and order of lines used in shading. Such cryptograms are not obvious and must be decoded with the aid of an arbitrary measuring scale, the length of the lines determining the letter or word concealed, the shape and proportion of a building, the height of a tower, the number of bars in a window, the folds of a man's garments, even the proportions or attitude of the human body were used to conceal definite figures of characters which could be exchanged for letters or words by a person acquainted with the code. Initial letters of names were secreted in architectural arcs and spans. A notable example of this practice is found on the title page of Montaigne's Essays, 3rd edition, where an initial B is formed by 2 arches and an F by a broken arch. Pictorial cryptograms are sometimes accompanied by the key necessary for their decipherment. A figure may point towards the starting point of the cipher or carry in its hand some implement disclosing the system of measurement used. There are also frequent instances in which the cryptographer purposely distorted or improperly closed some figure in his drawing by placing the hat on backwards, the sword on the wrong side, or the shield on the wrong arm, or by employing some similar artifice. The much discussed 5th finger on the Pope's hand in Raphael's Sistine Madonna, and the 6th toe of Joseph's foot in the same artist's Marriage of the Virgin are cunningly concealed cryptograms. 3. The achromatic cipher. The religious and philosophical writings of all nations abound with achromatic cryptograms, that is, parables and allegories. The achromatic is unique in that the document containing it may be translated or reprinted without affecting the cryptogram. Parables and allegories have been used since remote antiquity to present moral truths in an attractive and understandable manner. The achromatic cryptogram is a pictorial cipher drawn in words, and its symbolism must be so interpreted. The Old and New Testaments of the Jews, the writing of Plato and Aristotle, Homer's Odyssey and Iliad, Virgil's Aeneid, the Metamorphosis of Apuleius, and Aesop's Fables are outstanding examples of achromatic cryptography in which are concealed the deepest and most sublime truths of ancient mystical philosophy. The achromatic cipher is the most suitable of all, for the parable or allegory is susceptible of 7 interpretations. Bible students for centuries have been confronted by this difficulty. They are satisfied with the moral interpretation of the parable and forget that each parable and allegory is capable of 7 interpretations, of which the 7th, the highest, is complete and all-inclusive, whereas the other 6 and lesser interpretations are fragmentary, revealing but part of the mystery. The creation myths of the world are achromatic cryptograms, and the deities of the various pantheons are only cryptic characters which, if properly understood, become the constituents of a divine alphabet. The initiated few comprehend the true nature of this alphabet, but the uninitiated many worship the letters of it as gods. 4. The numerical cipher. Many cryptograms have been produced in which numbers and various sequences are substituted for letters, words, or even complete thoughts. The reading of numerical ciphers usually depends upon the possession of specially arranged tables of correspondences. The numerical cryptograms of the Old Testament are so complicated that only a few scholars versed in rabbinical lore have ever sought to unravel their mysteries. In his Oedipus Egyptiacus Anthishit and Athanasius Kircher describes several Arabian Kabbalistic theorems, and a great part of the Pythagorean mystery was concealed in a secret method in vogue among Greek mystics of substituting letters for numbers. The most simple numerical cipher is that in which the letters of the alphabet are exchanged for numbers in ordinary sequence. Thus A becomes 1, B 2, C 3, and so on, counting both I and J as 9 and both U and V as 20. So on. No. The word yes by this system would be written 23-5-18. The cipher can be made more difficult by reversing the alphabets so that Z becomes 1, Y2, X3, and so on, by inserting a non-significant or uncounted number after each of the significant numbers. The cipher is still more effectively concealed, thus 23, 16, 5, 9, and 18. The word yes is found by eliminating the second and fourth numbers by adding 23, 5, and 18 together. The sum 46 results. Therefore, 46 is the numerical equivalent of the word yes. According to the simple numerical cipher, the sum 138 is equal to the words, note carefully. Therefore, in a book using this method, line 138, page 138, or paragraph 138 may contain the concealed message. That's pretty cool. In addition to the simple numerical cipher, there are scores of others so complicated that no one without the key can hope to solve them. Authors sometimes base their cryptograms upon the numerical value of their own names. For example, Sir Francis Bacon repeatedly used the cryptic number 33, the numerical equivalent of his name. Numerical ciphers often involve the pagination of a book. Imperfect pagination, though generally attributed to carelessness, often conceals important secrets. The mispaginations found in the 1623 folio of Shakespeare and the consistent recurrence of similar errors in various volumes printed about the same period have occasioned considerable thought among scholars and cryptogrammatists. In Baconian cryptograms, all page numbers ending in 89 seem to have a special significance. The 89th page of the comedies in the 1623 folio of Shakespeare shows an error of type in the pagination, the 9 being from a considerably smaller font than the 8. The 189th page is entirely missing. There being two pages numbered 187 and page 188 shows the second 8 scarcely more than half the size of the first one. Page 289 is correctly numbered and has no unusual features, but page 89 in the histories is missing. Several volumes published by Bacon show similar errors, page 89 being often involved. There are also numerical ciphers from which the cryptic message may be extracted by counting every 10th word, every 20th word, or every 50th word. In some cases, the count is irregular. The first important word may be found by counting 100, the second by counting 90, the third by counting 80, and so on until count of 10 is reached. The count then returns to 100 and the process is repeated. 5. The musical cipher. John Wilkinson, afterwards Bishop of Chester, in 1641 circulated an anonymous essay entitled Mercury or the Secret and Swift Messenger. In this little volume, which was largely derived from the more voluminous treatise of Trithymus, and Selenius, the author set forth a method for the letters of the alphabet. Two persons understanding the code could converse with each other by merely playing certain notes upon a piano or other instrument. Musical cryptograms can be evolved to an inconceivable point by certain systems, it is possible to take an already existing musical theme and conceal in it a cryptogram without actually changing the composition in any way. The pennants upon the notes may conceal the cipher, or the actual sounds of the notes may be exchanged for syllables of similar sound. This latter method is effective, but its scope is somewhat limited. Several musical compositions by Sir Francis Bacon are still in existence. An examination of them might reveal musical cryptograms, for it is quite certain that Lord Bacon was well acquainted with the manner of their construction. 6. The arbitrary cipher. The system of exchanging letters of the alphabet for hieroglyphic figures is too easily decoded to be popular. Albert Pike describes an arbitrary cipher based upon the various parts of the Knights Templar's cross, each angle representing a letter. The many curious alphabets that have been devised are rendered worthless, however, by the table of recurrence. According to Edgar Allan Poe, a great cryptogrammatist, the most common letter of the English language is E. The other letters, in their order of frequency, are as follows: A, O, I, D, H, N, R, S, T, U, V, nope, Y, C, F, G, L, M, W, B, K, P, Q, X, Z. Other authorities declare the table of frequency to be ETAON, IRSHD, LCWU, MFYGP, BVKXQJZ. By merely counting the number of times each character appears in the message, the law of recurrence discloses the English letter for which the arbitrary character stands. Further help is also rendered by the fact that if the cryptogram be split up into words, there are only 3 single letters which may form words, A, I, O. Thus, any single character set off from the rest of the text must be one of these 3 letters. For details of this system, see The Gold Bug by Edgar Allan Poe. Hold on. Fuck am I? An alchemical cryptogram. Beginning with the word visita and reading clockwise, the 7 initial letters of the 7 words inscribed in the outer circle read vitriol. This is a very simple alchemical enigma, but is a reminder that those studying works on Hermeticism, Rosicrucianism, alchemy, and Freemasonry should always be on the lookout for concealed meanings hidden either in parables and allegories or in cryptic arrangements of numbers, letters, and words. Where was I? To render more difficult the decoding of arbitrary ciphers, however, the characters are seldom broken up into words, and further, the table of recurrence is partially nullified by assigning 2 or more different characters to each letter, thereby making it impossible to estimate accurately the frequency of a reoccurrence. Therefore, the greater the number of arbitrary characters used to represent any single letter of the alphabet, the more difficult it is to decipher an arbitrary cryptogram. The secret alphabets of the ancients are comparatively easy to decode. The only requisites being able to being a table of frequency, a knowledge of the language in which the cryptogram was originally written, a moderate amount of patience, and a little ingenuity. 7. Code cipher. The most modern form of cryptogram is the code system. Its most familiar form is the Morse code for use in telegraphic and wireless communication. This form of cipher may be complicated somewhat by embodying dots and dashes into a document in which periods and colons are dots, while commas and semicolons are dashes. There are also codes used by the business world which can be solved only by the use of a private codebook, because they furnish an economical and efficient method of transmitting dental information. The use of such codes is far more prevalent than the average person has any suspicion. Hold on. In addition to the foregoing classifications, there are a number of miscellaneous systems. Oh, shit, I didn't read what this is. Sorry. This is the Kabbalistic and magical alphabets. Curious alphabets were invented by the early and medieval philosophers to conceal their doctrines and tenets from the profane. Some of these alphabets are still used to limit extent in their higher degrees of Freemason. Probably the most famous is the angelic writing, termed in the above plate the writing called Malachim. Its figures are supposedly derived from the constellations. Advanced students of occult philosophy will come upon many valuable documents in which these figures are used under each letter of the first alphabet above its equivalent in English. Above each letter of the other three alphabets is its Hebrew letter equivalent. In addition to foregoing classifications, there are a number of miscellaneous systems of secret writing, some employing mechanical devices, others colors. A few make use of sundry miscellaneous objects to represent words and even complete thoughts. But as these more elaborate devices are seldom employed by the ancients or by the medieval philosophers and alchemists, they have no direct bearing upon religion and philosophy. The mystics of the Middle Ages, borrowing the terminology of the various arts and sciences, evolved a system of cryptography which concealed the secrets of the human soul under terms generally applied to chemistry, biology, astronomy, botany, and physiology. Ciphers of this nature can only be decoded by individuals versed in the deep philosophic principles upon which these medieval mystics based their theories of life. Much information relating to the invisible nature of man is concealed under what seem to be chemical experiments or scientific speculations. Every student of symbolism and philosophy, therefore, should be reasonably well acquainted with the underlying principles of cryptography. In addition to serving him well in his researches, this art furnishes a fascinating method of developing the acuteness of the mental faculties. Discrimination and observation are indispensable to the seeker after knowledge, and no study is equal to cryptography as a means of stimulating these powers. Chapter 40 is Freemason, from Masonic symbolism. Shut that fucker off.